If you're one of the players who gets annoyed when there's an enemy Floryn because it's really hard to get a kill, especially when you're alone, and you're looking for heroes that can counter her, I suggest using Yin and Harley. So in the first game in this video, I used Yin, and in the second game, I used Harley. I promise, the enemy Floryn was almost useless when you use these heroes. We all know that when Yin uses his ultimate, they go to another dimension, and of course, Angela's or Floryn's ultimate won't work on either of them. So if you're using Yin, it's actually better to have Floryn as your enemy than your ally, because you also won't get healed when you use your ultimate. I thought of making this video because I saw that Floryn has a really high win rate right now in Mythic rank and above. She's #1 in the rankings with almost a 60% win rate. That's really high if you ask me. Her ultimate is also super unfair. Imagine being healed anywhere on the map. So just bring the enemy to another dimension, right? And the most broken thing about Floryn is that Life-Bane items lose their effects for 2 seconds when she uses her ultimate. Just think about how absurd that is. She has global presence, and on top of that, Life-Bane items won't work during her ultimate. So if you can't counter this kind of hero, your chances of losing are high. When there's a Floryn on the enemy team, single target heroes are better than AoE. Because even if you reduce all the enemy's health, they'll just heal it all back. So it's better to focus on a single target, like Harley and Yin. And what I noticed about Yin is that he's good when there aren't too many crowd control enemies that can disrupt his ultimate, or enemies with mobility that can dodge his skills. So when the enemy uses support heroes, that's favorable for Yin, and that's the best chance to use him. Because for me, Yin is really not in the meta. He's weak against other junglers or EXP laners, but he's strong in certain situations when there's no counter for him. And if the enemy's got ahead in the early game, it's really hard to recover if you're using him. It'll reach the point where you're the one trapping the enemy, but you end up dying. What's worse is when you ambush an enemy, and Yin just uses his ultimate, saving the enemy. I've had plenty of games with a Yin on my team where the enemy was about to die, but then he used his ultimate and they escaped. Has that ever happened to you? Probably many times. That scenario is so frustrating, the enemy is already locked down, the burst follow-up is ready, then suddenly Yin traps them and they dodge the skills. So when Yin uses his first skill, it's like he punches the enemy twice, so it deals double damage. But the second hit doesn't work on turrets, so it's better not to use your first skill when pushing, unless it's to increase your movement speed when you're heading to the turret. When using combos with Yin, sometimes I use all his skills in basic form first before using his ultimate. I only do this if the enemy is tanky and I know I can't kill them with the ultimate yet. But if you can already kill them with the ultimate, you don't need to use the other skills, because that little extra time might let the enemy escape and you'll miss the chance to ult. And when the enemies are grouped up and it's like you just kidnapped one of them, it's better to maximize the duration of your ultimate to make the enemy lose patience and allow your teammates to catch up. Yin is strong if you choose the right matchup. If you know the enemy has a lot of counters for him, it's better to pick other heroes. And if you ask me whether he's better as a jungler or in the EXP lane, I think his best role is really in the jungle. The difference is huge when you play him in a different role. As a jungler, you have the freedom to choose who to target, from early to late game. Here's my item build for him. The first 3 items are the most important, the last 2 depends on you. And here's my emblem for him. Master Assassin instead of Seasoned Hunter. I'm not sure why, but I see that in the top globals. So my teammates wiped out the enemies, but look at what they did after that. Franco and Wanwan were so clueless they thought it was over. So yeah, we might still lose. This kind of loss is the worst. So yeah, aside from not finishing the game, all 3 of them died. That's why the Lord burst the enemy, and I wasn't able to make it in time. Good thing I was able to kill 2 enemies so they didn't fully take advantage of the Lord. Our team regained the advantage. I'll be the one to do what my teammates failed to do earlier because they're so dumb. So luckily the enemy didn't turn it around because that would have been such a painful loss. Next game I used Harley to counter Floryn, and interestingly, someone on my team also used Yin. The game was so easy because I snowballed and got lucky with the rotation. I thought it would be hard because of Masha, but it was actually really easy because they had Mia on the enemy team. So, as you can see, I use my retribution right after the buff spawns, so it can cool down quickly. It's a bit risky if the enemy invades, so be careful if they have Hilda, Tigreal, or anyone who can disrupt you. Don't use your retribution carelessly. Also, be cautious of mages or supports with flame shot. If you can't see them on the map, expect they're waiting to steal your buff. But if none of those enemies are around, it's fine to use it right away, especially if you have teammates to guard you. The reason I said Harley is a good counter against Floryn is because he can burst down the enemy even if Floryn heals them. Just make sure he stacks properly after using his ultimate. It's really easy to kill enemies when they're squishy like this and don't have much crowd control. That's why there are a lot of strong heroes if you just choose the right matchup. And in this game, my rotation was towards the gold lane. I rotate to whoever is easier to kill, EXP laner or gold laner. Mia is an easy target since she has no dash or flicker, so it's really easy to stack on her. Compared to Masha, who has 3 HP bars and even sprint. Or you can just say I hate Mia. Because every game I've had this season with a Mia teammate ended in a loss. She's so weak now, I don't know why people still use her. I even did a freestyle here, something only I do. Look at this Mia, it feels so good when this happens. She's about to die, but still tries to fight back. Well, maybe that's all she could do, hoping to lifesteal, but Mia doesn't have damage anymore, and is so easy to shut down in the early game. So yeah, nothing much happened after that, and the game ended really easily. Shout out to all the Harley and Yin users out there. Drop some tips for the other viewers.